Hello and welcome to online class. Recently I did a video on solving and graphing inequalities. Well, today I'd like to go over two examples of inequality word problems. All right, let's get to it. The first question here says a cleaning store rents vacuum cleaners for $75 per week or $15 per day. For what number or numbers of days, which is represented by D, is it more expensive to rent the vacuum at the weekly rate than at the daily rate? Okay, as we embark on this journey of solving this word problem here, I like to begin by doing what I call finding the sentence. Okay, what I mean by that is when I look at the question here, I see a sentence that's revealing a truth, and I need to find that as I work it out. Here's what I mean. This question says, for what number of or numbers of days, D, is it more expensive? So I'm going to underline more expensive. Okay, that lets me know I'm going to deal or be dealing with what I call the more than sign. Okay, and I'm going to put it right here, just like that. Okay, and then it says more expensive to rent the vacuum at the weekly rate. All right, more expensive at the weekly rate. Okay, and since those words say more expensive at the weekly rate, I know that the weekly rate is going to be on this side of the inequality sign. Okay, and with that being said, the daily rate needs to be on the right side. And so the sentence that I found here is the weekly rate is more expensive than the daily rate. I believe this is very important to do what I call finding the sentence. It helps to keep us on track and understanding what needs to be being said down here when we solve this problem. Okay, now, as you can see, I have a list of the number of days. It says 1 day to rent is $15, so on and so forth. 2 days, 30, 3 days, 45, 4 days, $60, and 5 days would be $75 to rent. Now, as I move over to my answer options, I realize that these are my daily rate options that I have been given. And one of them is going to say, or one of them, is going to be less than the weekly rate. One of these daily options is going to be less than the weekly rate. All right, so let's look and see which one it is. So days is more than 5 equals, well, that needs to be at least 6 days, because if days is more than 5 would be 6. Okay, and 6 days, well, that would be $90 or more, because it's more than 5. Okay, D says greater than or equal to 5. B says D is greater than or equal to 5, so that means it could be 5 days. Okay, which would give me $75 or more, because the inequality sign reads greater than or equal to. Okay, C says D is equal to 5, so that's exactly 5 days, which is $75 exact. All right, D says D is less than or equal to 5, so that could be 5 days. Okay, so that would be $75 or less, because it says D is less than or equal to 5. So it could be 5, but it could also be something less than 5 as well. And E says D is less than 5. So actually, less than 5 would be at the very most 4 days. Okay, so that would be $60 or less. All right, and so now we have all of our daily options set out, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this inequality sign here and I'm going to bring it down here. Okay? Also, I'm going to take that same sign and give myself one for each option, knowing that the weekly rate has to be on the left side here, or is going to be on the left side based on how I've written my sentence out, and the weekly rate is 75. Okay, now A says 90 or more, right? B is exactly 75. C is, this is 75 or more. Okay. This is 75 exact. C is. Okay. This here is 75 or less. And E is 60 or less. All right. Now, a quick test-taking tip. In my sentence here, I don't have an or equal sign or equal to sign there. So really, I already know B and D are not going, B and D are not going to be the correct answer. And also, this is an inequality, so C's not going to work either because there's an equal sign there. But let's just look at it, okay? All of these tell a sentence. Which one is telling this sentence? That's what we're after. So this says 75 is greater than 90. We know that's not true, so it cannot be A. This says 75 is greater than 75 or more. Well, 75 is not greater than 75. They're the same. So that cannot be true. This here says 75 is greater than exactly 75. Again, that's not true. D says 75 is greater than 75 or less. And when we have that same number on both sides, it just lets us know it cannot be true because the weekly rate has to be more than the daily rate based on our sentence we found in the question. And E says 75 is greater than 60 or less, and that is true. We found our answer. It is E. There's the weekly rate. And here's the daily rate, okay? And this is what's telling us this sentence here. Let's move right along. Okay, same setup here. We have a scooter moped rental rates. All right, the hourly rate is $10 and the daily rate is $40. And it says, which statement, let me get out of your way, indicates the possible value or values for the time in hours, which is represented by H, for which it is less expensive to rent a moped at the daily rate. All right, once again, I'm looking for my sentence here. That's just what I call it. And I'm going to underline less expensive. So what sign I'm going to use in this case is the sign we say less than. Okay, as we're reading it from left to right. Okay, and then it says less expensive to rent at the daily rate. So I know the daily rate is going to be the smaller number. It's less expensive to rent at the daily rate. And so that means that hourly is going to be right there. All right. Now, so again, now we have all of our hourly rate options. Let's see what they say. Okay, so hours is equal to 4. Well, that would mean 4 hours exactly. And that would be $40 exact. Okay, then hours is less than or equal to 4. Less than or equal to 4. That means at the very most it can be 4 hours, but it can also be less. So that would be $40 or less. Okay. Now, C says H is less than 4. Well, less than 4 cannot be 4. So at the very most, less than 4 has to be at the very most 3 hours. 3 hours at the hourly rate of $10 is $30 or less. Because less than 4 means it could be 3, it could also be 2, it could also be 1. All of those are less than 4. Now, D says H is more than 4. So, at the very least, more than 4, as we move in hourly increments, has to be 5 hours at the very least. So, well, 5 hours would be $50 or more, because it has to be more than 4, which means it could be 5, but it could also be 6, 7, or 8, so on and so forth. And E says hours is greater than or equal to 4. Okay, so greater than or equal to 4 means at the very least it could be 4 hours. And so in this case, that's $40 or more. All right, and just as I did previously, I'm going to take this inequality sign and put it right there. Also, I'm going to put it next to all of my options. Now, what I know for sure is that the daily rate is going to be on the left here, and that is $40. All right, now, A says 40 exact. Okay, B says 40 or less. C says 30 or less. D says 50 or more. And E says 40 or more. All right, so here's our sentence that we're chasing. Daily is less than hourly. Here's all our hourly options, and here's all our sentences that we have. Which one is saying this? That's what we need to find out. So this says 40 is less than 40. 40 is not less than 40. They're the same. B, 40 is less than 40 or less. Again, once these two are on this meet each other, we know it can't be true because 40 is not less than 40. All right. C says 40 is less than 30 or less. 40 is not less than 30. Again, we know that's not correct. D says 40 is less than 50 or more. That is true. But let's check this one just to check all of our options. 40 is less than 40 or more. Again, 40 is not less than 40. So that's not the truth there. All right, we found our answer here, and the answer is D. All right, so I'm going to take the daily rate, which is 40, and what D is telling me. Okay, this is daily, and this is hourly. And that sentence there is the truth. It's saying exactly what we've been asked in the question here. Less expensive at the daily rate. All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you to better solve inequality word problems. Have a great day.